Hello and citation, everyone. This is Andreas, Pop Culture Guy. Today is the latest Andreas Pop Culture um, movie pod. Number three. I got a bunch of new movie reviews here for the June month. For any collaboration or live streams that I have for my channel from May or either the entry of June. So here they are, the five movie views. So the ones you're gonna hear is Captain America: Civil War for his 10th anniversary. Co-signing for the live stream I'm gonna have for May 31st, and then, excuse me, you got The Godfather, the 1972 classic crime film. This is coexisting with the the middleman, the middle age reviews upon. We're going to review Godfather and Derry Harry as well. That's going to be another major one for his 55th anniversary, and plus that's going to be the middle age reviews pod as well. I'm going to join that and Godfather. Excuse me. And then what else I got coming up? Plus we got Mission Impossible 1996 film for his 30th anniversary. That's going to be co-signing for the first month of the live stream Andreas Pop Culture Talk stream for June. And then the last one, or the last two, I gotta say, I got the Nice Guys, night 2016 for his 10th anniversary. This was my movie pick for the MC Bleeding Edge, and then you got the now the last one is the Fast and the Furious, the 2001 film starring the Fast and Furious franchise we know and love. Family, it's gonna have his major one this year, the 25th anniversary, and this is gonna be our second and last live stream review for June for my channel. Andreas Pop Culture Channel presents. So no further ado, here are all the movie reviews starring Captain America: Civil War. All right, happy 10th anniversary, Captain America: Civil War. This is the I think kind of right now 11, 12. This is the 13th MCU film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's directed by the Russo brothers, starring Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Tom Holland, Scarlett Johansson, Paul Rudd, Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, uh, many others to name a few. William and the late great William Hurt. Let me not forget that. So as so far everyone knows, Captain America: Civil War is the strongest entries of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it's directed by N.T. Russo, Joe Russo of Winter Soldier, and plus the next four Adventure films, Infinity War, Endgame, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, which is crazy. The film takes what could have been a standard superhero showdown and turns into a compelling political and personal conflict. Rather than focusing on the world-ending threat, the story centers on the disagreement between Captain America and Iron Man over government oversight of the Avengers. Both characters have understandable motivations, making the conflict feel genuine and emotionally impactful. So yeah, I this is my personal favorite film of all time, the MC film. Definitely fourth. After I had to update my MCU top ranking because now Phase 4 or 5. But yeah, it was like right after like the first Iron Man movie, Black Panther. Then oh god, what was the other one? Guardians. I think was top tier in my ranking. But again, need to change that pretty soon. Probably after Phase 6 is over. But yeah, and it does a better job of doing the superhero versus superhero over a couple of versions that we have, especially this year with Batman v Superman. This was a better movie with the hero versus the hero thing. What works is the conflict feels real. I mean, one of the movie's biggest strengths is that neither side is completely right or wrong. Tony Stark believes the Avengers need accountability, and that's something I kind of agree. After the destructions we see in the previous films, as we saw in the scene with Secretary Ross showing them and their, unfortunate efforts of trying to save some of the, um, cut out the damage from Battle of New York, the Washington Hydra um, Innocent, the Battle of Sokovia and Age of Ultron, and then of course in the Civil War, the I think Lygo's incident with Crossbones. While Steve Rogers fears the political control could prevent the team from doing what is right, something that he countered because of the Hydra incident from his movie with the Soldier, which is understanding as well. This moral gray area gives the film much more depth than a typical superhero battle, which is very good. Something we never saw at that point of the superhero films. Um, And speaking of that, we got the great outstanding character man with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. I gotta say, the movie serves a lot of major turning point for several characters. Like Tony Stark continues dealing with the guilt and responsibility from Age of Ultron to this film, and then you get the Steve Rogers remains committed to his principles regardless of the consequences that he's facing in this film, which is really spectacular. Plus, we got two new players. Two players that have been very strong in this phase three into their solo films. Like Black Panther makes an impressive MCU debut, has one of the strongest character arcs in the film, and moving forward in the MCU, the late Chadwick Boseman is amazing as always. Love his performance in this film, and of course his solo film Black Panther. Very sad that we don't longer have him. And then of course Spider-Man gets introduced to this film, the MC debut with Tom Holland, where he introduced with the tremendous energy and instant feels like the classic comic version of the character, which I agree. And then we got the other ones like the airport battle. The airport fight remains one of MCU's most entertaining action sequence. It balanced humor, character moments, and action while giving nearly every hero a chance to shine. And then plus we get into Simo's plan. I like Simo as the villain. I know you kind of forget that he's the main villain of this story, but what makes Simo's plan really work or stands out is because he's not trying to defeat the Avengers physically. Instead, he succeeds by exploiting their emotional weakness and breaking apart the team within, which does work. And the film is not perfect. I think there's several things that doesn't work. I think the humor sometimes can hit and miss in this movie. I do agree with some uh, that the film does feel crowded because of the large cast. So certain characters don't get enough character development over, say, Steve and Tony. So, like the ones I mentioned, I think it's Hawkeye and Ant-Man. They have less development due to the focus on Steve and Tony. And then the Sokovia cards, a very interesting debate. I like how we did delve into like the government oversight, but it's not explored enough in this movie. And unfortunately, I don't think Phase Three or afterwards don't really explore even forward with the idea of it, which is a shame because it's a really interesting topic. But just ending on a high note, that's really my complaint about the film. But overall, it's a really top tier film. I mean, the best scene in this film is the final confrontation between Captain America, Iron Man, and the Winter Soldier. Is the emotional heart of the film. Once Tony learns about the truth about his parents' deaths, which was teased in Winter Soldier, which is great that they paid that off. The conflict becomes deeply personal, and the fight is brutal, tragic, and changes the MCU forever. Which is kind of true, and it's probably the reason I like this movie because it does carry over to Infinity War Endgame, and like it really pays off in those movies, particularly with Tony and Stark, which is really great. So the final verdict for me with this movie is that I think Captain America: Civil War exceeds as a both a Captain America film and an Avengers level event movie. I know a lot of people, there's a debate like either not this a Captain America movie uh, or truly an Avengers movie, but I gotta say it works both, and I think it delivers the great action that you expect from the movies, strong character work, which is I think that's the best of this movie. The strong character arc here, the emotional stakes are good here, the consequences that continue to shape the MCU through the films like Avengers: Infinity War, Endgame, presented in here and move forward to those films. So those are the big things. The rating for, I will definitely give this. I agree. I'll give this a 9.5 out of 10. Great film, highly recommended. Just to end the note, what's my favorite elements? The Captain America versus Iron Man conflict, the Black Panther's MCU debut, and Spider-Man's MCU debut as well. Both highlights of this film. The airport battle, still the best, and then really the emotional final fight towards the end of Civil War. So As always, for many MCU fans, Ward ranks as one of the best films in the franchise because it proves that the greatest threat to the Avengers wasn't an alien invasion, it was their inability to trust one another. So I'll leave that note. So thank you everyone for joining the Captain America Civil War 10th anniversary review. Yeah, happy 10th anniversary. Can't believe it. 10 years since this movie came out. Still remember when I saw this in theaters. It was a big like as Iron Man fan, love this movie. It did a lot for Tony Stark's arc movie to his finale and Endgame. So yeah. All right. So now moving forward, let's get into the second one, The Godfather. So yeah, yeah, The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring, of course, the infamous uh, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, the late great Tom, well, was it Robert Duvall? Oh, the late great Robert Duvall, James Cain, and Diane Keaton. Sadly, we lose her, and then of course many others. So the Godfather is widely regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. Again, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, based on a novel by Mira Puzo. The film is much more than a gangster movie. It's a story about family, power, loyalty, tradition, and corruption. The film follows a powerful crime family, the Corleones, led by Vito Corleone, whose youngest son, Michael Corleone, gradually transformed from a reluctant outsider into a ruthless mob leader. Wow, incredible performances. I mean, to mention, I mean, of course, Brendel's performance as the Vio Corleone, the Godfather, is incredible. It's definitely one of the most iconic performances in cinema history. His quiet authority, wisdom, and presence makes every scene memorable. Meanwhile, you got Al Pacino gives a masterclass in character development. I mean, one of the best in cinema. I mean, watching Michael evolve from a war hero who wants nothing to do with the family business into the new Godfather is fascinating and tragic. I mean, again, the transformation is practical. I mean, the greatest strand of this film is Michael's journey. At the beginning, he seemed like destined for a different life, but the end, he has become exactly what he once he once claimed that he could never be, a crime lord or a godfather like his dad. And this transformation is gradual, believable, and brilliantly executed, which is really great. I mean, the storytelling direction is phenomenal. I mean, I mean, Coppola was a great, amazing director in the 70s, just like his peers like George, Steven, and Scorsese. His direction is patient and deliberate. The film takes time to develop the characters and the relationships, allowing every major event to carry emotional weight, which is really true. I mean, the film's balance the intimate family drama with crime, political intrigue better than almost any other film I've seen before, like before or after, you know. Um, excuse me. Another thing, yeah, like cinematography, music is spectacular. I mean, the dark atmosphere, atmospheric cinematography gives the film a distinct visual style that remains influential today. And then the hunting score by Neo Rata is instantly recognizable and perfectly communicates the film's themes of family and tragedy. Best scenes. I mean, a lot of iconic scenes from the Godfather trilogy, but the first one pops a lot. So I will name some of the most memorable moments here. Like, of course, Vio's, Cologne, opening office scene, iconic. I mean, even Long Halloween like copies this, in the comic book of Batman: The Long Halloween and the movie adaptation. Michael's restaurant confrontation with the nosy upcoming drug dealer and the corrupt police officer is really iconic and a really intense scene. And of course, him protecting his father in the hospital sequence, really good. I mean, tense, scary, but really well done. And then, of course, Michael's brother, Sonny, played by the late great James Cain, his toll booth ambushes, like iconic and really sad and just really awful. But then just wrapping up the memorable scenes, of course, the finale, the legendary baptism sequence with where it integrates the murder of the five families is like amazing, iconic. You see the like the religious ceremony with Michael's consolidation of the power with the mob war is like really iconic, and it's definitely one of the greatest like editing I've seen. Like as an editor, I think it's well cut as a intercut scene. Um, and then just like the themes. I mean, really great themes. I mean, I brought up before, family, corruption, power, loyalty, it's all there, but there's more to that. Like, of course, family loyalty versus the personal morality, and then the corruption influence the power. That's something that's major in the film. And then the American dream and its darker side, you really see that because of, it is a immigrant story, especially we're focusing on this Italian family and see how the American dream has its darker moments, and then of course the constant violence and vengeance, like of course, after Rio gets shot, it's personal vendetta against the cologne and against everyone that is against them, and it's really all great. Powerful stuff here, and then the tension between tradition and change. This is my favorite part about that. It's like seeing the old getting out and then seeing the new entry into the world of crime, and I think that's something that I really like with the film. Like especially you see that more towards the end of the film where you see, Michael Cologne entering in, takes over the family and see now the new is in, the old is out, and yeah, just wrapping up, the review, is there any nitpicks or complaints about The Godfather? I mean, not really. There's nothing that doesn't work about this film. This film has aged very good. I mean, first it's a time period movie, so like nothing is really like out of place for this film. It's very little has aged poorly. If you want a more clear thing, though. uh, is the pacing very slow? I mean, yeah, but compared to other contemporary crime films. However, the pacing is deliberate, so it's one of the reasons the story remains effective because the pacing allows the story to breathe and like give us time to relate to the characters, well, understand the characters and get invested in the story. So it's not a downside. The pacing of being slow really is beneficial to really get into the story and like get into the world of the Godfather. So that's not really a big plane. And I mean, really, the final verdict for me is The Godfather is a cinematic masterpiece. Now, I like the sequel more than the first one, mostly because it's a more ambitious project, and I love the two timelines coinciding, intercutting with each other, seeing the rise of Vio as the Godfather, and then seeing Michael being the Godfather during the 50s is really good. But again, love the Godfather. It's very part of my childhood growing up. I mean, it's one of those movies that's just it's so iconic. I mean, look, combines outstanding performances, I say before, brilliant writing, unforgettable characters, timeless themes. More than 50 years after its release, it remains a benchmark of old crime dramas and filmmaking as a whole. And the rating for this is a 10 out of 10. It's near perfect movie, one of the best films. I mean, again, elements that's favorite and still iconic. It's like, look, Brando's iconic performance there. The Al Pacino transformation as Michael Cologne is really great. The unforgettable music score, fantastic. The baptism finale, iconic. The film's themes of exploring the family and power is like really relatable, and you can see that through the film. For many film fans, Godfather is not simply one of the greatest gangster films ever made. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, and its influence can still be seen in countless crime films and television series to this day. So thank you everyone for joining me on listening to the Godfather movie review. I'm very excited to do the pod with the middle age reviews. That's gonna be a fun. Apparently, their first time watching that movie, where I think this movie so many times from Thanksgiving and the marathons that AMC does with The Godfather. It's just it's I've seen this movie so many times. I love this. But yeah, that's The Godfather, everyone. So now let's get into our next one. The Mission Impossible 1996 film. So directed by Brian De Palma, starring Tom Cruise, John Voight, Vic, Vic Grimes, and yeah, many others. So Mission Impossible launched one of the Hollywood's most successful action franchise, established Tom Cruise as a premier action star, and of course it's directed by the iconic Brian De Palma, another one part of the like major five new directors from the 70s, Stephen, Marty, uh, George, Stephen, Francis, Scorsese, you know what I mean. And the film adapts a classic television series while adding a stylish mix of Epsilon espionage, suspense, mystery, and action. I didn't know this movie was based on a classic TV show until I got in more to films and television history and all that. So the story follows kind of like Ethan Hunt, who's this new character they made for this movie for Tom Cruise. He's a IMF agent who's trained for the deaths of his team and must uncover a real traitor while clearing his name. Yeah, it's kind of one of the most smart, one of the rare smart spy thriller I've seen. Unlike many modern action films you see here, Mission Possible, this first installment here focused on heavily on its the spy, uh, its espionage, deception, and the problem solving. Much of the test becomes comes from Ethan using his intelligence and strategy rather than simply finding his way through the obstacles. Something you don't really see that in spy thrillers sometimes. The movie often feels closer to a spy mystery than a traditional action blockbuster. That's the thing that's very unique about this first installment. Yeah, I mean, Tom Cruise as Ethan, what are you gonna say about this? This is introduced to his character as a resourceful and determined operative, while the later entries could emphasize his increasingly spectacular stunts that's become known for Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. But the original movie presents him as a primary as a spy focused to outthink his enemies. Something I kind of wish we maybe brought that back in some of the sequels, but well, it's kind of there. It's still there, but it's kept in a very good, like, you know, like, oh, he does use his smarts to outthink his enemies, especially the ones that do this very well is actually Rogue Nation. Rogue Nation is kind of the closest that is like similar to the first one, in terms of like him trying to, to outthink his enemies, right? And for this first film, I think Cruz's performance provides step foundation for the character, who could become one of the cinema's most recognizable action heroes. I like his performance here. Not my favorite of his Mr. Phelps performance, but I could give it a fifth in terms of this is his best performance as he's done. But the thing that's very iconic with this movie, as brought up before, the intense, spectacular stunts. It really started for this first one. The CIA vault sequence, fantastic. The Langley Brinken remains one of the greatest suspense scenes ever filmed. I mean, watching Ethan descend from the ceiling while avoiding every source of noise creates a extraordinary amount of intensity, despite almost no action occurring. The sequence is still iconic during nearly 30 years after its release. I mean, 3 decades later, spotless. And speaking of direction, I think the direction of this film is spectacular. I mean, the the eight Stillmans had different directors. Obviously, Chris McQuarrie is the most recurring director that came back 4 times. Rogue Nation, Fold Out, and then of course the two-parter, Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning. Um, the first director, Brian De Palma, is spectacular. Great director choice for this. He brings the visual flair and spectacular techniques that elevate the material. The clever camera work is really spectacular, like dodge angles here and there. The unexpected twist, the strong atmosphere helped distinct the film from many other actions of this era, and then pretty much the upcoming other sequels of the Mission Possible. Because Palma's direction created the best scenes of this. Like the opening IMF mission in Prague, it's really spectacular. The intensity of it, it's really great. Getting into the mission there, and then the shocking betrayal and team ambush, like really, like I didn't expect that. Like the deaths of the many team members here, especially like what's it the other Sheen actor, was it yeah, yeah, Alvarez or something like that. Like I was shocked he was in this movie, but yeah, but yeah, and then of course that's part of forward to say um Bolt infiltration is really good. Ethan's conversation with Kittredge, really good, really iconic. I really like that. Where like he's talking to him, and then he realized that he's actually got framed, and then of course him throwing the bomb to the water tank is like so good. And then, of course, the climaxes remains one of the best memorable action scenes of the 1990s. It still holds up. I mean, the high-speed train, telecar finale inside the channel tunnel is like, oh my god, off the world. It's like really great. Um, but uh, and a weird thing, after two spectacular reviews, um, this movie Uh, isn't perfect. It's not a perfect movie, but it's still fun to watch. But there's a couple things does kind of hold it back a little bit. Mainly the plot can be complicated on first viewing. Like there's a lot of double crosses and secret identities. I mean, the you don't know who's the villain until like midway through the film, and like who you trust is like it's one of those films where the plot is like really dense, and it's like you need the penetration, and it requires multiple viewing of like catching the twists and turns that this film like has and deploys. It's like really crazy. And then speaking of the team, one of the strong things about the Mission Impossible was always the team dynamic. This one doesn't have that. Like it doesn't become a trend until I think Mission Impossible 3 started to do that. Well, really Ghost Protocol makes that more prominent, this having a team thematic. But yeah, the weak part is some of the more strong characters doesn't receive character development, and it just receives limited, and that's where the movie kind of falters. And then plus the viewers are expecting nonstop action, but there's like very few action scenes here, and the movie does slow pace in the middle of the second act, and so it's kind of tough. This movie has a little tough balance with the action and the slower pace compared to the layer franchise entries, where they do have to balance the action and the quiet moments. So that's the other weak point. But overall, the film laid a groundwork for the franchise that will continue with the movies, as I brought up. I mean, from Mission Impossible 2 through the Fallon Red Green, we got 8 installments after this installment, so it's a really incredible. Wow. Um, the later installments increase the scale and spectacle. That's what I was going to say. The original remains unique for its emphasis on spycraft and suspense and mystery. So that's something that I will consider that. Yeah, it's a high mark for this film. Yeah, final verdict. I think Mr. Possible is a intelligent and entertaining spy thriller that successfully reinvent the classic television property for the big screen. Very highly controversial decision too. I just want to bring that up. Yeah, it's a memorable twist, start direction, legendary CGI vault sequence make it a standout action film of the 90s. Yeah, rate this. I'll definitely give it a high 8.5 out of 10. Really great film. Favorite elements of the film is, of course, Tom Cruise character at the hunt, the CIA vault sequence is spectacular, still holds up 30 years. Brian De Palma's stylish direction is spectacular. The suspense spy thriller atmosphere is welcome, and the exciting train finale is still great after 30 years. For many fans, Mission Impossible remains as one of the franchise most underrated entries because it relies on intensity, mystery, and espionage rather than the sheer spectacle, and it excels at all three, and that I can agree. So thank you everyone for happy 30th anniversary Mission Impossible. I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Mission Impossible, the 1996 film, the first entry of the franchise. So now let's get into our next review, The Night Skies. So yes, The Night Skies is a 2016 film directed by Shane Black, starring Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. So The Night Skies is one of the most entertaining and underrated buddy cop films of 2010s. I mean, it's directed by Shane Black, of all people, who wrote the screenplay as well. The movie blends the mystery, action, and comedy into a fast-paced detective story set in the 1970s Los Angeles area. The film follows the private investigator Holland March and enforcer Jackson Haley as they reluctantly team up to investigate the disappearance of a young woman and uncover a conspiracy that reaches far beyond what they expect. which is kind of true. When I saw this movie, wow, I love this movie. One of the best movies I think is I picked this. I think is Jeff chose this out of the picks I did. Some of the picks I did are like High End Water, um, great film I heard. Yeah, I need to check what was the several picks I did, but thank God he picked Nice Guys. Yeah, what a surprise! Definitely one of the most underrated body count films. So sad it didn't perform well. I wish we had a franchise out of this. What works for this film? I mean, the chemistry between the leads. I mean, Ron Gosling and Russell Crowe's chemistry are spectacular. The biggest strength of this film is the pairing of these two actors. Crowe plays the tough and practical Haley, while Gosling delivers the his most hilarious performance of his time, besides Barbie or whatnot. I mean, as often incompetent and accidentally uh, prone Holland March, their contrasting personality created some of the funny moments in the film. It is so good. I mean, the comedy is also great, outstanding comedy. Despite being a detective thriller, The Nice Guys is consistently funny. I mean, Gosling's particular demonstration exceptional comedy timing is spectacular. I mean, his stuff are hilarious. I mean, many of the film's biggest laughs come from Mark's panic, bad decisions, and physical mishaps are the best in the film, which I agree. I mean, him screaming like a girl when Kroll's character breaks his left arm is. Oh my god, so funny. It's just so spectacular. And then, of course, another big one. I mean, it is a conspiracy mystery thriller. I mean, this it has a strong mystery. The central investigation that these characters do keeps the viewers engaged throughout the film. I mean, the plot is later enough to remain interesting without becoming overly complicated, but at the same time, like many of Shane Black's best scripts, the mystery unfolds through the character interactions as much as through a traditional detective work. And also, what works is the stylish 70s setting. I mean, the film fully embraces 1977 setting. The costumes, the choice of music, the cars, the production design create a vibrant version of Los Angeles back at that time that feels authentic and impressive. And just going down, my favorite themes, or well, favorite scenes, is Haley's first Jackson's first encounter with Marge is, I mean, spectacular. As I say before, him breaking his left arm and then Marge screaming like a girl is spectacular. Marge's disastrous attempts at the detective work, hilarious. I just laugh every time he does something. It's just comedy gold. The party sequence in the Hollywood Hills, really good sequence. I mean, both comedic and intense action is really good. I mean, the elevator hotel scenes are really great and really funny and scary. And then, of course, the chaotic finale involving the other show is really good. I mean, these scenes balance the action comedy so effectively that the viewers are laughing at one moment on the edge of their seats at the next, which is very true. And then, best themes. I mean, the themes beyond the humor, I think the film does a really good job of the themes that they're presenting here. It explores, corruption and corporate influence, something that was friendly during the 70s. The environmental concerns, I was surprised they even touched that. That was very important that back then. The moral uh, compromise is really presented with the character of Jackson Haley, Russell Crowe's character, and then the parenting and responsibility, particularly March with his daughter, who's also great in this film, who's played by the girl from the three first Tom Holland MCU films who played Betty Brant. She's great. I like their father daughter relationship. It's really good. And then of course the friendship and trust that is formed with March and Jackson. It's really